thank you very much for taking the time to do this and to just reflect a little bit on, because you're kind of at the halfway point now, I suppose, aren't you? It's 3 months we've been working together, or around 90 days. So yeah, it'd just be really good to see what you're up to and get your thoughts on what it's been like going through the program. So I'll start as open as I can, Cheryl, if that's okay. So what's kind of been the impact of working with me, the program so far?
So I've been looking through I've obviously got a notebook that I jot down all the time. I've been looking through different things on that. Obviously, the first impact was it was nice to set time aside for myself every week, which was lovely. But I think the first real impact that I noticed was when we were so far into working on the I am statements, and I started to notice those happening in my own time without you being in my ear. And I was really struggling at the time with repetitive thoughts over like past situations in my life. And then one day it was kind of like I was telling myself and mentoring myself out of the negative thoughts I was feeling. And that was like a real wow moment. And I remember sharing that with you and like being like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And that was, I think up until that point, you always worry about spending money on yourself. I know I do as a mom. So that was the first time that I thought, oh my gosh, if somebody had said to me, would you pay that amount of money to have those thoughts taken out of your head? I'd have been like, yes, absolutely, sign me up. So that was the first time that I kind of, the guilt eased of me spending money on myself. And I was like, whatever happens now, that's enough for me. But obviously there's been loads of brilliant moments since as well. And I think the next massive one was when you said to me, we're halfway through. And I was like, really? It's gone so quick. And then when we reflected back on everything, it was just like, I just felt like I was walking on air, like realising that I'd been working on stuff I didn't even know I'd been working on.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's been lots of little moments, but lots of big ones as well.
Brilliant. Okay. And what's going to be the impacts on a day-to-day basis? So obviously you've got the bigger things, the smaller things on a day-to-day basis. How does life look differently now?
I think this has been a gradual thing, but I think the way that I am with myself, with my own thoughts, I always thought I was an okay person, but then I wasn't happy and I didn't know what I wasn't getting right. And now it's kind of like I've always got my I am statements going on in my head, but I constantly challenge my negative thoughts, and I think I live differently. So I live more like the person that I wanted to align with, that you talked to me about in the beginning when you was asking me what my name was and what it meant to me, and I didn't really know what you were going on about. But now I think I'm living more like the person that I want to be. I'm thinking more about who I am, and I definitely put more emphasis into my life now, and it's just more enjoyable. It's one of those things. I can't tell you exactly what you've done because I don't really know. But yeah, but it's
You.
no, I think it's just my thought process is different. I think more about who I want to be, what I want to do, what I want to get out of life. I don't worry as much. I don't stress as much about the little things, and I'm more chilled.
Brilliant. Okay, so that sense of peace almost.
Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay.
I definitely I like who I am a lot better than I used to. I'm more comfortable within myself. I'm more at ease.
Bro, yeah, well, just lean into that a little bit more, just on a very general level. Don't go into specifics, but how did you feel about yourself before and what was going on in comparison to now? How's that changed?
I think I worried a lot about little things, and I worried a lot about the little things that happen on a daily basis and then into the future. And I think I definitely live now more for the moment, more for the day. I focus more on today. Obviously, I do plan for the future because we've been doing all our brilliant target setting, but I feel like I'm more alive and I live more in the now. And that's every day. And sometimes, I mean, not every day is perfect, but that's okay. And like when things do go wrong, I'm more accepting of them and I can reset better.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I've noticed that massively.
Bro, great. No, thank you for that. Okay, what surprised you between maybe your initial expectations when you're wondering, obviously, whether to work with me, and where you're up to now at the halfway point? What's kind of thought, oh, I wasn't expecting to get kind of that, or I wasn't expecting this to happen, or
I think some of the more, like when we did our review halfway through, and I knew specifically what targets we'd chosen to work on. So I was there with my notepads thinking, oh, I hope I've done this and I hope I've done that. And I was really focused on those. And then when we looked at my wheel, I was really surprised that I'd been subconsciously working on other things as well, other
yeah,
targets that I'd set. Yeah, and they were just sort of there in the background. And I think one of the big things as well is a lot of the stuff that we talk about in our meetings, like you'll say a lot of things and I'll think I've taken some main points from them, but then I find them creeping into my week when you're not there. It's like you're not there, but you're there all week. And it's like, yeah, and I've got my notes as well and I go back and reflect on those. But I think a lot of it just kind of comes out as the week's going on and you're just very thoughtful about everything. You're
well,
constantly learning and deep in thought. Yeah, and it's really nice.
what's been like the highlights? Can you remember specific moments where you're just like, wow, okay, this is not what I expected in a really positive way, or just a real moment of realization, or if there was like a peak point?
Um, Definitely the moment when I woke up and realised that I'd been having repetitive thoughts for months and months on end and I hadn't had them that day. And it was kind of like, where have they gone? And then the next, I thought, don't think too much of it. They'll be back tomorrow. Then there weren't. And I noticed that I was challenging, like the thoughts were coming and I was like, no, I'm not that person. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for, a matter of a week or so. And now I'm turning into that person that I'm telling myself that I am. So I'm actually starting to believe myself. I've always been positive. I've never been a negative person, but I didn't feel that way inside. And I think the moment when that happened and I started to feel that way inside, and then without a doubt, our last meeting when we reflected upon everything, I was like high on life, absolutely buzzing after that meeting. I don't think I shut up for hours. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe what's happened. And and I just needed to go and write loads of things down because I was just really blown away with it.
Real, no, thank you for that. That's music to my ears, absolutely, and thank you for sharing that as well. What's been kind of the wider impacts? Obviously, it's a really good impact on you personally, but then maybe on relationships or on career or being a mom. What's been kind of the wider? It could be, I don't know, fitness and things like that. Your health. What's been the wider impacts, Cheryl?
So, obviously, the areas that I was working on was around. I did something around work, and I did something around my physical health. I kind of felt like I'd not done great on my physical health because I had some things go wrong along the way. But then you'd pointed out to me the steps that I'd taken, and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I wouldn't have done that before. So that was really nice to know that I'd changed the way that I dealt with situations. I think the biggest thing for me as well is that I don't look at the massive picture of everything and get overwhelmed. I used to get really overwhelmed all the time. And now I look at everything in little steps, tiny little steps. And I've realised that just by doing something little and adding to it a little bit at a time, that things happen, big things happen. And that was with, like, I remember saying to you about work. I'd got to make such huge changes and I was thinking that's just absolutely not possible. And then you were like, well, small steps. And then I think I was literally doing 10, 15 minutes a day. And then about a week later, I was like, wow, that's a big impact. So I don't feel so. I used to think, oh, well, I can't do that because it's not changing, but it's the little steps now. And I've noticed that with my children and everything. I take life. I'm more lighthearted. I'm more relaxed about everything, which was one of my targets that I'd written down in the beginning. So
It was,
yeah,
it was, yeah. Which has been fantastic for me to see and be a part of as well. Brilliant. Okay. You've touched on it a little bit already, Cheryl, but I know that cost can be a barrier for some people. And, obviously that kind of thoughts went around your head to begin with. What's your thoughts on that now? And obviously you're only halfway through, but, if someone was kind of having those thoughts, what would you say to that? What's your opinion on that now you're halfway through working with me?
I think cost is a real difficult one because in the beginning, I think I'd made a pledge to myself that I was going to put a lot of time and effort into myself this year. I'd kind of hit a bit of a low. And although I was coming out of it, nothing was changing in my life. So I was at that point where I was going to do something drastic. And then for me, spending that amount of money on myself was the something drastic. And now I think it's a real shame that I had to get to that stage before I'd do it, because if I could break down all the little stages and everything into the amount of money that I'd spent, it wouldn't seem that much at all. And when you think about like the things that you waste money on, like takeaways, like if you go to the pub, and all the things that we don't, think about when we just throw our money away, it's mind blowing, really. And I compare it to a holiday now. I would spend that amount of money on a holiday. I've spent that amount of money and more on a holiday. And it's amazing because you go and you have a week or 10 days away and it's brilliant. Then you come back and you're fed up again. But with this, the idea of it is you spend the money and then at the end of it, you're not fed up anymore. You've done the work. You've got all the stuff. So
yeah, and developing those lifelong skills, I suppose. Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah. But it is a really difficult thing to see before you do it because, obviously, I had all the things like you putting your trust in a stranger, somebody that you don't know. Yeah. And even though the first time that I spoke to you, you did really put me at ease and I thought, yeah, this is somebody I feel comfortable with, I could talk to. It's still a big commitment without knowing.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, Brill, thank you. And very honest of you as well. So thank you very much. Okay. And if we touch upon that a little bit, you said about you tried lots of things and then obviously you turned to myself. Can I ask, where do you think you would be at this point if we had never met, or if you said thank you but no thank you and we hadn't spoke again? Where would you be now? Where we kind of talked. Where did we talk? Kind of January time. We're in March, pretty much April now. So 3 months in. Where do you think you'd be?
I'd still be going round in circles. I think I came to you after I'd had a really difficult few years in my life. I'd lost both my parents. I'd had a difficult time in my relationship. There was a lot of big factors in my life that had gone on. And although I think when I come to you, it was a few months after all that, and I was in a better place. I was in a really mundane place where I'd got to the stage where I think I was at a bit of a crossroads. Like I'm really fed up of just making do and I didn't appreciate life for what it was, and I wasn't getting anything out of my life. And now I feel like I'm living it, and I know I'll continue to do so. And I think I've just reached 50 as well, so it's a really good time for me to I found that now, and I'm really glad that it's now. It could have done with being 10 years ago or 20, but how knows? But yeah, I'm really glad because I've still got everything, and yeah, I can move forward and really enjoy.
Well, if I touch on that point as well, okay, so let's say we did this 10 years ago, 15 years ago. What do you think would have been an impact of that? What would life look like now? I know it's very hard to say, but
I think I would have left my job. I was at a job for 16 years. I would have left a lot sooner. I think I would have done more traveling. I don't think I've always been a worrier about money and making big decisions. And I spend too long thinking about things. And although you do need to plan, I'm not afraid of anything going wrong now because I don't know. I think you learn from your mistakes anyway, but I don't see things as disasters and I don't get overwhelmed. When things go wrong, I think, okay, well, how are we going to work around it? I just think I'd take more chances and just get more out of life, really.
Yeah, real. And what's been the impact on your confidence levels?
I think I've always thought I was confident, and I think everybody's always thought I was a confident person, but I don't think on the inside I was. I think I acted confident, but I had loads of silly little ways. It's really stupid that only like my husband would know about, where I'd act a certain way and then in the house I'd be like, oh, I'm scared to do that. I'm scared to do that. And it'd be something really stupid. And now I just think, well, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Bro.
I know that no one, like none of my friends are going to judge me or anything, but I don't know. I think my relationship with my kids, with my husband is so, so much better because I'm more chilled. I'm not afraid of life anymore.
Real. So it's that internal confidence, that mindset of confidence almost, rather than that kind of
Yeah.
the external.
Yeah. And also the knock-on effect that I have on other people now. Like, not only does like my husband enjoy the fact that I'm really feeling this way, feeling confident, feeling, I don't know, more light-hearted, wanting to do more things in life. I'm not stuck in my ways. I've started to change as a person. Like I'll literally say to myself in my head, like some of my old ways that I used to have, where I'd be really rigid in my thought patterns. I'll actually say to myself, well, you're not that person anymore, so you don't need to do it that way if you don't want.
Yeah.
And like even like my husband said to me, you wouldn't have done that before. And I'm like, I know, yes, it's good, isn't it?
No, it's good
So,
to say
yeah.
others have noticed that change in you as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic, brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I won't ask too many more questions. Could I ask if someone was on the fence as to whether to work with me or not? What would you be your honest? And again, pretend I'm not in the room. But what would you say to them? What would be your honest opinion?
Definitely go for it. I think it's really like underestimated how much we need to put into ourselves. And I think it's one of the areas that we really don't put time, effort, money into ourselves. We always look after other people first. And I think that was my issue before. I put everything into my kids and my husband. But actually, it's like the thing when you're on an aeroplane, you need to put your own oxygen mask on first because you can't be the best that you are if you're not looking after yourself. So yeah, I really wish I'd done it years ago. But yeah, you know, everything that we know now about mental health, there's so much going on in the world. There's so many people struggling. And it's just something we really need to invest in.
Yeah, brilliant.
I'd say definitely spend money on that before a holiday even.
But I need to get on a mug or a t-shirt. Bro, no more questions from me. Anything else you wanted to add at all?
There's so many times that like after our sessions that I've nearly messaged you, or there's so many times like when things happen where I'm like, oh my God. And I remember I did message you once and you said, oh, just please message me if you feel like that. But I always think that you're really busy. But there's so many times that I've just thought, oh my God, I can't believe that that's happened. I am so, so buzzing with what we've done so far, what's happened, how I've changed. I really am. And I'm kind of so excited for the rest of it, but I'm gutted really that we're halfway because it means that we're running out of time. But yeah, it's really exciting.
Well,
really am buzzing. So a big thank you.
Well, no, and I'm never ever too busy to hear how people are getting on. So I appreciate you sharing that with me. And look, it's been a real privilege to be part of your journey and play whatever small part I have. So well done to you. Thank you so much for giving me your time now and some of your honest thoughts. And I look forward to the second half with you and seeing what happens and being a part of your journey there as well.
Yeah, can't wait.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you.